Welcome to today's episode of the podcast where we dive deep into what it takes to rebuild, refocus, and recover after one's life's biggest challenges, divorce. For men over 40, this is often a time of reinvention, and we're here to give you the tools to thrive. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today, Dr. Binyamin Rothstein, a board-certified family physician, coach, and author with over 25 years of experience. Dr. Rothstein began his career serving U.S. Army before transitioning into private practice, where he expanded his focus to include nutritional and complementary treatments. Over time, his passion shifted to helping men overcome subconscious barriers that prevent them from achieving health, happiness, and stronger relationships. A father of 8 and grandfather of many, Dr. Rothstein brings both professional expertise and professional wisdom to the table. He's dedicated to guiding men to become confident leaders, better husbands, and exceptional fathers. Today, we learn from his real-world solution-focused approach to family dynamics and explore the tools that have made him a trusted coach for men around the world. So tell us a bit about yourself, sir, and we'll go from there.
You hit it pretty well on the intro. I'm a native Baltimorean, a Baltimore born. I brought up. I chose to go to a medical school where I could learn how to heal. Went to osteopathic medical school where I learned how to work with my hands and to heal. And as I got into that field, I served in the military, on the military scholarship to medical school. And when I got out of practice, when I got out of the military, I started my own practice. And I was involved using my hands to manipulation and finding ways to get people well. After a few years, something happened. What happened was I started noticed the patients, they weren't staying well. I'd fix them, treat them, and it wouldn't stick. What's going on? What am I missing? What am I missing? And I was a regular doctor also and prescribing, doing all the things doctors are supposed to do. And the patients were not getting well. Now, there's two reasons for that. The first reason was, what am I missing? What I was missing was the big picture, what makes people well. And I started looking into other fields. I discovered nutrition. And then I did the forbidden thing. I crossed the line into what's now called integrative medicine, alternative medicine, complementary medicine. I broke through that barrier and found the world of healing of things people never think about, people never dream about. Your dentist, you probably remember that using silver fillings, which how much of that is mercury and how that affects brain function and so forth. And I started looking, how do we really get into it? I learned more and I expanded and became a healer using very non-traditional means to get people well. I wrote a world for treatments and it was really going really quite well, thank God. However, I cured the wrong patients. And Dr. Dudley and Curious, they got furious. I was turned into the medical board for investigation, checked out and went after me for 10 years of supervision. The supervisors became my patients and my students. They solved what this always the time. The board got upset about that. And they didn't like the fact I was so successful with these things. No injuries, no complaints, no moral turpitude. But they did something very interesting, which set me on a whole new path, both personally, professionally, and compassionate-wise. They revoked my license in Maryland, which, of course, when that happens, you start losing things, saving house, cars, lose all material things are gone and have a whole new path in life. And dealing with that kind of loss really makes you much more compassionate when people are going through their sense of loss as well. You don't know it. You can't understand it. You've been through it. You can't, it's like a divorce and I lost my profession I love. By the way, I got a license in Pennsylvania. They gave me one. Never happened before or since. My record was so good, they gave me a license in Pennsylvania. So the story has a decent ending. But still, I kept looking at writing tech. I was still teaching and doing other really cool things. Eventually, I had to leave. I couldn't work in the country without getting in trouble. So I actually moved to Israel. And there, something happened. I could do my manipulation, my work there, do it legally there. But then I began writing, talking to kids. Now, little pause. Every doctor has the same frustration. Every one of us, same frustration. Why don't my patients listen? Why do they keep sabotaging their health? They know they should exercise. You should eat right, take your vitamins, get rest. We all know these things. And yet we still do the stupidest things, hurt our health. Sabotage our health, our prosperity, our love, relationships, our whole lives. We keep sabotaging. And why do we sabotage so much? That's in the back of my mind. We all have the same question. Why are we sabotaging so much? Now, here I'm in Israel, and I'm talking to all these, I hang out with all these kids who are misanthropic, kids who are really struggling in life. And talking to hundreds and hundreds of them. And I started to get a consistent pattern, a common denominator. And this part really got me. They did not have a healthy relationship with their father. Their father was not involved in their life in a loving fashion. And that was a common complaint. I'm talking to some tough kids. Some of these kids were criminal. I had some really tough kids there.
Girls and boys?
Girls and boys, both. Girls and boys, all the same thing. And a father's job is to direct his sons, protect his daughters. You don't protect your daughters, you know what's going to happen to those girls. You know what's happening. It's not a secret. And so these kids are all troubled, struggling. And I came to asking questions. I came to a common question. I asked them, and I said, tell me, by the way, did your father ever hug you? And almost all of them had the exact same answer. No. And what I do, I'll hug the guy. I can't, religious-wise, I'm not allowed to touch girls unless I'm married or my kids. So the boys, I'll give the guys a hug. And tell you something, David, after a few weeks, months or so, these tough boys would line up for a hug. They wait all week long from that hug from this man they just barely know. They wait all week long for that hug. They line up. Come on, get a hug. Come on, guys, get a hug. And so and lives change. People's lives turned around. It was amazing how the lives changed. Guys stopped committing crimes. They started having relationships and started working. The lives just turned around like crazy from a momentary hug weekly. And I got a lot of stories from that. And then now another story happened to me, which is even another fascinating story. My daughter brought some friends in from school. At the weekend, had some time off, and my daughter walks in the door and give her a big hug and a kiss. That's how I do with my kids. I always hug and kiss my kids. And her friend says to her, your father hugs you? She says, of course he does. My father never hugs me. I heard that. So, whoa, this is what's going on here. It was inconceivable. And all these kids, these stories are clicking. And they're good girls from a nice family. And we're talking during the meal and the dinner. And she says, when I come home, my dad would sit down on the couch next to me, look at me in the eyes and talk to me. No distractions, have a good conversation, but he'll never touch me. You know what this girl said? This girl said, what's wrong with me? My father won't touch me.
Wow.
So then another story, a guy's talking about raising kids. His wife gave birth to a baby girl. Had a friend of his who was a romancer, womanizer. The guy was one of those kind of guys that gets all the girls. And he says to his friend, tell me something, Mike. How do I keep my girl safe from guys like you? He knew what he was. He laughed. I'll tell you how to do this. Tell your girl, your daughters, you love them and hug them. Because if you don't, someone will do it for you. And so the power of father gives their kids a sense of value, connection, protection, and direction. The power and the value of a father, and more than half of our kids are being brought up in broken homes. That's why on this podcast. They have broken homes. If you have a broken home, what do? How do you maintain that connection with your kids? Because when the dad is so powerful in the child's life, it can make and break that kid. It can cause a make or break situation with your kids. And so this began my new mission in life. I wrote the book, A Real Man's Guide to Becoming a Terrific Dad. It took almost 3 years to write that book. Had to be a terrific dad. Our kids need us. They don't care your story. They need you to be their dad. They need to feel protected. Boys, direct your sons to protect your daughters. They need to have a father who's strong and caring and loving. I'm going on a little tangent. Put me back into a new David. I'm going on a little tangent here, but
that's all right.
But parents forget. Your kids are half her and half you, half mother, half father. So if a man is dissing on his wife, putting her down, what's he doing to his kids? He's shutting off half of them.
And that's big with the co-parenting. There's a lot of narcissistic behavior going on. And my co-parenting experience wasn't the best, but the way I kind of centered myself was I had to love my kids more than I hated my ex. And that's what got me through. And I knew they say, don't weaponize the kids. And man, so many men and women do that. And it's not a good thing.
You will destroy the kids who weaponize them. You will destroy them and they'll turn against you in the long run.
And so how do they get raised and how do they become mothers and fathers? You have to break that cycle. Yeah. Wow.
You want to bring up a kid. If you're talking bad mouthing your wife or ex-wife, their mother, the child, you're creating a culture of hatred in your home. A culture of love in your home. You don't want hatred in your home. Put that resentment and hate into your children's hearts. Why? What'd you do that for?
It's almost like a weed that grows.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the most common subconscious barriers that you see men facing during or after a divorce, beside co-parenting? Yeah.
They're victims. They've been maltreated. They've been victimized. They're a victim. And it's wife this, wife that. There's all kinds of complaints. And I have something called Rothstein's Rules of Men. And the first rule is men don't whine. The second rule is men do the tough stuff. The third rule is men take full responsibility of what happens in their lives. If you take full responsibility of what happens in your life, are you a victim anymore? No, you can't be a victim because you take full responsibility. You're now a man who takes the hits for what he's done. Okay, I take full responsibility, both good and bad. When something good happens, I always thank God, and I always praise others for the good. And if something doesn't work out well, I take full responsibility. Men take full responsibility. And if you want to, and it's sometimes they get vengeful, resentful, angry. You know, the feelings come up, and then lonely on top of it. And they get lonely.
Yeah. And then they start making wrong decisions. So how do I talk about this a lot with my people I interview? I talk about the self cousins, FELF, self-respect, self-confidence, self-love. How do all those incorporate with being a good father and or husband?
Whew, you know,
that was a big one. That's a big chunk.
You've been around them for a long time, obviously. You know your stuff. In my book, it starts off, the first chapter is respect, being respectable. Be respectable. You respect yourself. Are you respectable? Do you keep your word? Do you walk your talk? Do you take care of yourself? Do you take care of those around you? What's going through your mind to your heart? Chapter 1, being a respectable man. And respect others. That's 1. When you have that respect, self-respect, dignity, it's a different world. We were taught that when I was in the Army. We were taught that in the Army, how to have dignity and respect. And one of the funny things they teach in the Army is interesting is the uniform and how important to have uniform looking right. Man has to look respectable. It has to have when you have that uniform, it creates a sense of, I'm part of this team. I'm part of this, something greater than myself. I think it's important man to be a man of faith that will give you higher purpose in life.
And I'm going to ask you to get out of my head right now, because my next question was, how did serving in the U.S. Army influence your perspective on leadership and family dynamics? But go ahead.
Yeah. I'll tell you another thing we were taught in the Army. Taught in the Army called take the correction. Someone says to you, soldier, this is also, thank you, sir, whatever it is, make the correction. Take the correction, make the correction, and go on. Don't get sucked in. Take the correction, make the correction, and go on. That's part, and we have that pride. Imagine now, you're now commandeering the military, and you have all these young men with more hormones and brain cells, right? We got these guys in there. Remember those days? More hormones and brains. And now you're going to train them, make them fit, teach them how to kill, teach them how to do all kinds of things. And the same token, teach them how to take orders, how to listen to me. I said, you do this. How do you do that? How do you create that level of independence and power? In the same token, humility to listen to what you're going to do. Just take orders. And that is called giving a man pride, real pride. Pride. I'm part of this organization. I'm part of something bigger than myself. And this level of pride really carries you all kinds of ways. When you're a proud man, not talking haughty, I can't do that. I won't pick up. No, you have a certain sense of perspective. I'm greater. And it's pride comes with humility. A true pride also is humility at the same time.
Okay. What role does nutrition play in helping men recover emotionally and physically after divorce?
Oh, now you're talking my specialty. Now you're really getting my real area here.
There we go. Let's get to the crux of it.
I'll tell you 2 things play a major role: nutrition and hormones. Take nutrition first. Obviously, alcohol makes your brain crazy. Now, there's a place for having a beer to relax and unwind. 1 beer. There's a place for that. And great, a couple of guys together, have a beer, relax, chill, maybe do a cigar, whatever, have something. There's a place for that. Not every day. There's a place for that. But if you don't eat poor, what you eat affects how you think and feel. So if you're like, take sodas, how they're so toxic for the brain. What you look at, I'm going to make it real brief. I got a whole long, make it brief. You look at the sodas, all the bottled drinks have the same composition: sugars, acid, and sometimes caffeine. All have sugars. How much sugar in a serving of Coke? 39 grams. How many grams per teaspoon? 4. How many teaspoons of sugar are in that Coke?
2 point something.
No, 10.
Okay. Yeah.
39 grams, 4 grams per teaspoon, 10 spoons of sugar. It has to have acid in there, otherwise you'll vomit it up. It's too bad for the body. Why do companies have so much sugar and acid? And that means sugar creates acetaldehyde in the brain, which makes your brain act like cocaine. It gets people addicted.
Get you hooked.
And it affects your sleep, your thinking, your moods, choices, behavior, all follows what you're eating. If you eat a poor diet, you can't think right. Listen with kids in school. Kids get better nutrition in school, learn better. They did this in prisons. It took guys and they give them better diets. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, they're behaving, thinking better. ADHD goes away. All of a sudden, they're different guys. They're still criminals, but they're different. They're much more common. Who was it? Was this the guy was talking about eating meat? I think it was some president of a country in Africa. It says, guys, there are too many people, too many angry men here in this group. And he said, no eating meat. Somehow not eating meat for a period of time. And all of a sudden people stopped being angry. They became much more calm and peaceful. So food affects us. Food affects how you think and feel. Poor nutrition, poor behavior, poor health. Now, the question, David, why would a man choose to eat the wrong foods?
And the answer is?
Subconscious self-loathing. If you love yourself, respect yourself, realize you're a child of God, you have blessings to share with the world, why would you poison your body and your mind? Why would you do that to yourself? But the subconscious self-loathing because it came from the father, not giving the kids the right kind of love and attention. Now so that's what that's what you and I, we're breaking this chain. We're breaking the pattern. We can get guys to start having more self-respect and taking care of them, have a little dignity and self-respect. And so I don't eat this stuff. I'm not doing this stuff. I'm not going there. I'm not going to go there. Watch how the world changes around you.
So how can fathers balance rebuilding their own lives while remaining present and supportive for their kids? It's almost like two jobs. How can you mold that into one job?
What's character development? What kind of man do you want to become? It's character development. What kind of man do you want your kids to have for a father? And that's my book, actually. The book is actually developing a man's character, step by step. Are you respectable? Are you aware of how other people are affected by how you behave? How's your discipline? Are you consistent? Are you loving? Are you forgiving? Do you manage your finances well? So when you start looking at these things, you develop your character. You break that horrible chain of poor behavior patterns and things are going to change. And when you do that, everything changes. Look, if you're making a pot of soup, rather than putting an onion, you put an apple. What happens to the soup, right? It changes. The whole thing's changed. One more small change, the whole thing changes. So now if you change and you work on yourself, everything around you turns around. And your ex-wife will also be surprised. So it might have a different look at you when you come around. You'll be surprised. Because when you begin growing yourself and work on your own self-development and work on your character development, you become a different man and everything changes. Your work ethic, your relationships, your kids, your own health, your prosperity, your joy. Now, it doesn't happen automatically, right? You know this. It's not kind of like overnight like that. It's big work. Take consistent work. It'd be part of the program. But I've created a program for guys. I get a program, an online program. Guys will come in and it's a weekly little presentation and the guys check in and we have breakout sessions and talk to each other and support each other and work through issues. Because we need this. We need relationships. We need to talk to other men who are struggling and also in different areas and men get together. I do individual counseling too and individual coaching. But the real good stuff is the group stuff. Meet other men, you hear their stories, you share, work together, work stuff out. You have a launching pad for yourself and support. We need cheerleaders, man. We need cheerleaders. Every professional men's team has cheerleaders. We do better when we're being cheered on with each other. And so we want to have guys get together and share a little bit. I set the tone for a real conversation, really introspective conversation, and work through issues, work through things step by step, and develop your stuff.
What advice do you have for men struggling with guilt or shame after divorce? That's really big too with my men. That guilt or shame piece starts to shroud them over time.
First thing is to share with a friend, to share. You got a problem, let's talk. Let's talk and listen, have someone listen to you. Just share with a friend and get it off your chest. Get it off. You'll be surprised how things magically solve. Don't give advice. Someone's sharing with you, Dave, I want to talk to you. So, Dave, I have to work with some issues with you. And you just listen. You're a good listener. I love how I can see your eyes when you're really into stuff. You really pick up stuff. And if I were to say, Dave, I got to talk and share, and then you pull my heart out to you, and something comes up, you just listen. What happens when a man listens deeply? What happens? Magic happens. All of a sudden, oh, thanks. I needed that. It's like all of a sudden you feel relief.
Something simple.
Something simple. Listening is hard work, isn't it?
God, yes.
It's intentional. Yeah. You have to learn how to listen. So when you learn how to listen, my gosh, then people talk to you and they just feel better just because a man cares and listens deeply. Oh, I got that. Wow.
Every patient or every new patient I see, I sit them in the chair and I say, tell me your dental story. I don't ask anything else. That's what I ask. And they regurgitate whatever. And I figure out what's going on, because sometimes we don't listen, but we talk first and then the conversation doesn't go freely.
How'd you learn how to listen?
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Who taught you to listen so well? How'd you learn this?
I think it evolved over time. This is my 38th year. So I'm an old guy. And so, yeah, this is my 38th year and it just evolved over time.
You know what? That's baloney. And a lot of guys older than you, more experienced guys, have not evolved to learn how to listen. Okay, that's better answer.
So you've worked with men all over the world. What universal challenges do you see men face regardless of culture? What goes across all cultures? What are the problems that men are having?
I think it boils down really to discipline on themselves to stay consistent and to do what's hard. Like I said, men do the hard stuff and to do the hard stuff and to work on themselves. And people get defensive. Oh my gosh, man, you want to thwart progress? Get defensive. Yeah, but don't you have all the answers. Don't give me that. You don't have all the answers. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Right? Guys have all the answers. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And they try to impress me with how smart and wise they are. We're so smart and wise. Why is your life such a mess?
We here.
Why are we here? I don't say that, but you know what we're thinking, right?
Just thinking it.
And so that the universal is discipline and openness, being vulnerable. Another one's being vulnerable to be wrong. Oh, it's hard to be wrong. Man, it's hard to be wrong. We all make mistakes. We're really wrong. And admit it, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'm sorry, I need to make amends. And by the way, I don't tell people to forgive me. I never ask for forgiveness.
F word. Ooh.
I offer amends.
Amends rather than forgiveness.
See, I'll forgive you. I'll grant you forgiveness. But I'm not going to ask you to forgive me. I already wronged you. Now forgive me on top of it? I'm making you work harder.
That's a double whammy.
If I wronged you, I have responsibility as a man to say, David, I wronged you. I need to make amends. I need to make amends. So there's 3 rules. Love requires action. Trust requires proof. And regret requires change. If I've wronged you, I need to go and say to you, David, I wronged you. I need to make amends, and I'm going to make a change because of that. I don't wrong another man.
Change. Cool. So how do you define what it means to be a terrific dad? What's the hard line there?
The hard line is the first chapter. Being respectable. Are you a respectable man? Do you walk your talk, keep your word? Are you gentle? Are you kind, compassionate, strong, disciplined, vulnerable? Make decisions, do the hard stuff, make mistakes, own it. Are you a respectable man? Do you respect others?
You were talking about earlier about hugging your kids. Some of the most profound memories I have with my dad is wrestling with him.
Yeah.
Just getting on the ground, getting after it, getting my butt kicked, but trying my best just to wrestle with my dad. And you don't realize it. And I didn't realize it till we talked about a half hour ago. But yeah, that touch factor is huge.
Huge. And men wrestle your boys. That's right. Boys love it. It's really funny. I have a lot of grandkids. And I come with the kids, the girls, and I tried with the girls, same with the boys. I beat them a little bit and rub them that. They look and they're, so what's going on? They're all upset. The boys, they put up and they're smiling away. They're loving it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite chapters of the book actually is called The Art of Forgiveness. Now, we've all been wronged. We all get lied to, ripped off, humiliated, hurt. We've all been wrong. It's part of existence. And I got to bring God into this picture a little bit because God says, I forgive you, you forgive others. Forgive others. They don't deserve it. They were wrong. They were clearly wrong. But if you hold on to that, they're wrong and I'm right, what's going on inside your heart?
Eats you up.
Eats you up alive.
Yeah, eats you up.
Resentment. Now, what if you could let go? And I had this happen to me, and I had to work on myself. Everything in the book I did myself. I walked my talk. And in my community, a couple of guys there, we kind of got along, 2 rams bang each other's heads. It was a little bit uncomfortable relationships. I need to forgive these men. So what would I do if I looked through their eyes? What would I be seeing? If I knew their heart, what I'd be feeling. And I worked at it to see their perspective. Now, I may still disagree, but I said, maybe I don't have to be angry with him anymore. Maybe I can forgive him. How would I feel if I forgave him? How would I feel? Now, this, David, is something I did on my own, didn't tell anybody. My own meditative process, my own personal prayer to forgive these men one at a time. It takes days to do this. Not easy. It takes days. Weeks sometimes. I really worked hard forgiving and letting go, resentment, letting go and forgive. And then what happened, it was like magical. I didn't expect this to happen. What happened next was from the day or 2, they came up to me, started talking to me, being friendly. All of a sudden, one of them called me and said, I got to talk to you. Why? I got to talk to you, clear the air. I didn't say a word to them. And these men are now my friends. Good friends, amazing. Just by forgiving when I let go of my heart, let go of courage. This ain't easy because you guys, you wrong me. I deserve something. But if I let go of that resentment, let go of that anger, how am I going to feel next? And create a world around me. And these guys now are my friends. And everyone that I forgive, it's amazing. You forgive somebody, you create an energy and they feel it. It's magical. And it's just wild what happens. And then you're free.
So we're coming to the end of the podcast here. What's the one piece of advice you would give to men who feel uncertain about their futures?
Go to my website.
That's what I'm talking about. Mic drop. Boom. There you go. Hey.
Really, I say be sincere. Be sincere. Be real. Look at yourself. Are you respectable? Do you walk your talk? A man does something. Are you really, can you forgive? Can you love? Are you are you a true blue man with strength, character, make decisions, kind, compassionate, and loving? Man like that. I'll do a mic drop. My website is beaterrificdad.com.
And we'll have that at the bottom of the show notes. But yeah, so that and the book, they can find the book on the website too?
Yeah. Or go to Amazon. Or get on Amazon.
And the name of the book is?
A Real Man's Guide to Becoming a Terrific Dad.
All right, sir. Sir, I appreciate your time. This has been interesting, man. You took me back a little bit with my dad. I appreciate that at the beginning of the podcast and even now. But I appreciate you giving my men a little bit of hope out there and maybe some direction and go from there. But this was fun. You never know how the podcast is going to turn out, but this is one of the good ones. So I appreciate you taking time.